Doctor Strange, off we go.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is the latest in the ever-expanding Marvel Universe. Written by Michael Waldron, whose credits include the Disney Plus series Loki, starring
Tom.
Starring Twiddleston, yes. And directed by Sam Raimi, best known to many as the helmer of the Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire, but to me, as the director of The Evil Dead. More on that, incidentally, in
later. Take two.
So, Raimi took over after Scott Derrickson had done the previous Doctor Strange movie, stepped away. I think it was amicable as far as I can tell. Anyway, so film opens, and bear in mind, I'm going to avoid spoiling because I'm very kind of aware of kind of Marvel spoilers and all the rest of it. I often find it quite hard to spoil Marvel movies anyway because I'm sorry, which bit am I meant to know, which bit am I not meant to know?
Fair enough.
So, it opens with what looks like a very shonky CG chase that turns out to be a dream. Doctor Strange wakes up. He's still basically in mourning for the fact that he didn't wind up with Christine, but he is dreaming of another girl, a girl he's never met, but whom he then meets, America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez. She is a multiverse traveller, although she appears to have no power over her travelling. And indeed, the fact that she has the power, but she doesn't have power over it, has caused her both great sadness and placed her in great danger. She is being chased by a huge, one-eyed, octopusy creature that looks oddly like the giant starfish out of the Suicide Squad. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, has also been dreaming. She's been having Wanda visions. Thank you. So it was just like that.
10 out of 10.
Thank you. Of two adorable children with whom she longs to be united, but in another universe. Every night, she says, I have the same dream, and every morning, the same nightmare. We have a clip of the big tentacly attacky thing. Oh, yeah. The thing is, it's not very dialogue heavy. I can audio describe it.
That would be useful.
Do you want me to do
Thank you. I'll close my eyes.
Okay, so here we go. Here's the clip. Okay, so he fly in with
Doctor Strange,
Kate.
yes.
Oh, is she running around? Car flies in. He's looking to see what happened. Now a bus is lifting up into the... What is possibly lifting this bus? He does a thing with his hands, and now he can see the big tentacly
there
thing.
It is.
With the one eye. Everyone else running away, but he's going towards it. Now he's doing the thing with his hands. Now he's splitting the bus apart, and the tentacly thing is moving backwards. No, it's going back into it. Now he's cut one of the tentacles off. The tentacle has come off. The eye is enraged. And the girl of his dreams, and she's falling, but he saves her.
Oh,
he saves her with the living cloak, which now comes back. He's got the hair thing. The tentacly monster is still crashing the bus. She's saved. The cape is back on him, but now she's pointing to it because he's going to throw the bus at him.
Is it going to get him?
No, he sawed it in half with a giant, shiny saw.
Wow. I mean, that was... To be honest, I didn't need the pictures.
You didn't. I was painting pictures with words.
All I needed was you talk. I could listen to a whole Marvel film described like that.
So here's the thing with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Firstly, it's directed by Sam Raimi, and this is important because there's always the question whenever these movies come up of how much a director actually has control in wrestling the behemoth of a huge superhero movie. So, you'll have the franchise and then you'll have the director, and it's how much is the stamp. I mean, it's like when, Chloe Zhao was doing Eternals. How much is that a franchise movie and how much is it a Chloe Zhao movie? In the case of this, it is a blockbuster. It is, it is a film that is absolutely wedded into all the different adjacent sections of the ever-expanding universe. But it is also a Sam Raimi film. There's a theme of possession. There is a damnable book that seems to feed on our desires and must be dealt with. There are witchy spells. There are haunted eyes. There are scary apparitions. There's even a nod. There's a nod to a scene from Carrie, which I know is a film that Raimi is a fan of. And there's a bit when without wishing to spoil anything, when a hand comes up from sort of the ground, which relates back to the original poster for The Evil Dead when The Evil Dead first came out in the early 90s. Now, these are just flashes, but they are there. And what they tell you is that Raimi does, at least in the same way as he did with Spider-Man 2 particularly, he is still putting his stamp on it. There's also a delightful cameo by Bruce Campbell, who, of course, is kind of Sam Raimi's lucky charm. He was the star of Evil Dead, star of Evil Dead 2. He's the author of the brilliant autobiography If Chins Could Kill, which is just a fantastic memoir of being a B-movie actor. And he gets a cameo that specifically refers to Evil Dead 2. As for the rest of it, hardly groundbreaking, does what it says on the tin. You know, the multiverse idea is clearly the future of the franchise things. I mean, obviously, Into the Spider-Verse, No Way Home, we are going to have a lot of multiverses coming up. And, I mean, also there's films coming like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I think is next week. The multiverse is the current playing field for how we're going to... So we're going to get a lot of this stuff.
It's a very big playing field.
It's a very big
That's
playing
the
field.
thing.
And what it allows you to do is to connect, particularly if you've got sort of expanded franchises, it allows you to connect things that are in different areas, including from film and television and comic strip, you know, from loads of different sources. Because you say, oh, well, it's all the multiverse, all these... And, of course, this does then relate back to Doctor Who and the 3 Doctors and the 5 Doctors and the fact that, you know, that kind of meta-textual stuff has existed, you know, for a very long time. The interesting thing is that Benedict Cumberbatch, whose hair is always a source of amazement to me in the Doctor Strange role, because when you first meet him, he's got the kind of the full helmet hair, you know, with the black, you know, like black with the bits at the side. And then in the other incarnations, there are different hairstyles. And he's very good. He's very good at delivering the, you know, the stuff that Doctor Strange is meant to deliver, whilst talking very seriously and not taking the mick out of the role.
And waving his hands.
Waving his hands. There's a lot of handy wavy. There's a lot of something's approaching, so I'll do the thing.
You could do that.
I could do, except I don't have the superpowers, but I could do the thing. And also I'm not Benedict Cumberbatch, who did once punch me, if you remember.
I do.
Weedy little punch.
Was it?
I could have taken it. Could have taken it easily. What's really fascinating is that the core of the story is actually Elizabeth Olsen's character. And it's really her movie rather than his movie. And she's really very good in it because her character is driven by a mixture of kind of grief, and that grief then turns into something else, which becomes kind of threatening. And she manages to inject real emotion into scenes which are far from real, in scenes in which we are kind of in the most absurd CG-enhanced superhero multiverse. And yet, in the middle of it, is Elizabeth Olsen doing the thing that makes you think, I believe that that character is experiencing that emotion at exactly this moment. And I thought what was really fascinating was, while Raimi is doing all his stuff, you know, the nods to the movies that he made and the nods to the movies that he loves, and while the franchise is doing its stuff, which is here is big spectacle, here is all these bits being interconnected and locked together, and then we have the stuff that, you know, during the end credit sequences, do stay for the end credit sequences, incidentally. You've got, at the heart of it, Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda being really engaging in a way that I hadn't expected. I mean, it is all a bit messy. There's a very funny, unexpected musical battle, which reminds you that Raimi always loved sort of, you know, end of the pier slapstick. And Raimi was always a Three Stooges fan. That was his whole big thing. And there's a dizzying array of, you know, characters from other movies, which I won't go into at all because I think one of the joys of the films is discovering that for yourself. I've hit the microphone again. I'm doing the Doctor Strange hand wavy thing, and I'm just striking the microphone as I do it. But actually, it was much more fun than I expected. It did feel like Raimi was making a movie which had loads of himself in it. And although it's called Doctor Strange, it really should have been called Wanda. And Elizabeth Olsen is actually the star of it, and she is great. And it's, you know, it's messy and all over the place because that's what it is. But somehow she manages to ground it in something which actually was oddly moving in a way I didn't expect.